Hey everyone, welcome to today's video where I'll be talking about the books that I read in November and the books that I went to read in December. Now that was a mouthful. Anyway, I haven't been feeling like reading at all and I decided it's the last month, the last stretch of the year, and I really need to get back into my reading game. So I have a really ambitious TBR for December that I will not succeed with, whatever you say, whatever you call that. Anyway, let's start with November first. So I'm really surprised with myself because I thought I read like no book at all. I have not been feeling like reading at all, and I picked up The Trials of Apollo by Rick Riordan, the fourth book. Yeah, The Tyrant's Tongue. I just really want to get back into reading Rick Riordan's books because I'm just so obsessed with them, and I remember reading them and loving every single moment of reading it. But I have not been able to get into this one, and I got to page 18, chapter 2. And I don't know, I just put it down and I didn't read anything for the entire week because I just thought I need to read this and I really didn't feel like it, and I have not felt like it, which feels really bad. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. But anyway, the two books that I did read this month. First one I finished, I believe, is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I think you've heard me talk about not once or not twice, but I'm gonna tell you what it's about anyway. It's a book about a girl who is feeling oppressed because she has no choice in life and she is going to be married to a man she doesn't love, and she's going to be bound to the same village at the end of her days. Decides to pray to the gods, but too late does she realize that the gods she chose to pray to are those of darkness, and this leads her to a deal in which she is granted an eternity to live forever, do whatever she wants, go wherever she wants to. She's like an immortal, invincible human being that is not really human anymore, but the catch is that she will be forgotten by anyone she leaves. She's unable to leave a mark in anyone's memory. It's an amazing and beautifully written book that will carry you away with Addie and her attempts to live a beautiful life full of opportunities, hopes, and art, and also attempts to make it less lonely. It's a mesmerizing story about the importance of art, relationships of any kind, and it also tackles very important questions that we all probably have asked ourselves regarding the need for one to be remembered by the world, by others somehow. And it also does mention a lot of, not mention even, it focuses on mental health and this sort of stuff, which is really amazing, and it's just such a well-rounded, beautifully written book that is so well thought through, and you can truly see V. Schwab's like heart that went into it, which is so amazing. And I generally could just talk about this book forever and ever, which is what I'm trying to do. But yeah, I absolutely adore this book. It's one of my favorite books I've ever read, and probably definitely, I don't remember what else I read this year, but the best book I read this year that I would just highly recommend to absolutely anyone. The writing style is incredible, and so is the plot and the characters and absolutely everything in this book. So yeah, just that's the one book I read this month, and if it was the only book I read this year, I would still be very happy. So I hope I didn't hype it up too much, but it deserves all the hype. And the other book I read is The Vegetarian by Han Kang, which was a book that we chose for our book club book thing. I don't know. Anyway, I haven't really talked much about this book. It was a very interesting read. Basically, this is a psychological drama, I guess I'd call it. It also says so, like, this little blurb, so I'd say that's what it is. It's a psychological drama that is set in South Korea, and it follows a set of characters, and it starts off with a marriage that is loveless, very plain. The characters are quite plain, to be very honest, and everything is turned around. The whole family turned upside down because one day the wife decides to stop eating meat. So this is a very disturbing book, and if you're not into disturbing books that might make you uncomfortable, might have some, or do have some graphic sexual scenes, that I would not recommend it. And I don't know if I would recommend it. Like, I'm very torn. One of the things that this book I feel talks about a lot is the patriarchal society that is present throughout the whole novel, the power of men over women, over all their decisions regarding their body, their sexuality, their desires, their needs. There's a lot of like power playing, the characters having power over one another, which is very interesting to read about. Very specific book, but if you're into something sort of eye-opening, something from a new perspective, a translated work also that was very interesting to read because it's just always different to read something that was translated from a different language because of all the nuances that you can't translate. You could give this one a go. It wasn't bad. So the books that I like to read for the month of December, I have a small stack here, and honestly, considering my general reading pace and my moody readingness, whatever, I know I won't get to these, so I'm not gonna set myself a realistic plan. Of course I'm not gonna do that, but maybe if I tell myself to read more, then at least I'll read something, you know, like, I don't know, but let's just get right into it. So one book I decided to make myself one book I hope to read in December is a book that I really didn't expect to pick up anytime soon, but I just felt like reading it, so we're going with it. And it's Nevermore by Sarah Holland, which is book 2 in the Everless duology by Sarah Holland. And I read the first book last year around at the end of December. I very, very clearly remember that. It was like the 31st of December, and I was walking around trying to finish it before the new year, which I don't remember if I did, but I think I did. Why am I talking so fast? So this book is set in a very, very interesting and fascinating world, in my opinion. The reason I really want to continue on with the series is because of the world building. So it's set in a world where the blood in your veins is transformed into the currency, gold. I don't know why I'm talking so weirdly, but anyway, you sort of pay in your blood. Does that make sense? In the first book, we follow a character who's living with her father, but they can't afford really their house and life anymore. So the girl decides to join the Everless court and sort of earn some money there, you know, and things are going really crazy from there as she starts discovering who she really is, where she belongs, and the whole magical world. I read it because of the world building that was so fascinating in my opinion, and the fact that blood is somehow transformed into the money is just so interesting. And I didn't feel much for the characters nor the plot, but that usually is enough to keep me going. I mean, the world building is sort of the reason I read a lot of fantasy. I just love discovering new worlds and seeing new concepts of some magical worlds. So this was enough to keep me wanting more and keep me wanting to read this book, and this is what I decided that I want to read this month because it's just so fun and so quick and so entertaining, I'd say. It just seems like a perfect read to get me out of a reading slump. So that's book number 1. Number 2 is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi, which you've heard me talk about as well, but I really want to read this. I was inspired by the fact that Books and Bout, which is like the best book podcast ever, announced this to be their next like book club read, and I don't think I'll read it on time, but I still want to read it because it sounds very fun and entertaining, and it's kind of short, so I don't know, I'm just into it. And I think it's about a group of strangers who go to a cafe and they sort of go back to their past to see some people that died or sort of fix some mistakes, and they just try to do something that they wish they had done, and they try to return. They have to return back to the cafe before the coffee gets cold, which is the title, and I think that's a really cool world play. So yeah, I just want to read this before the end of the year, and hopefully I do. The next book is This Savage Song by V. Schwab, and I'm really sad I have this cover, not like the new cover, but I'm just gonna try to ignore that. And this book, I have been so obsessed with V. Schwab recently, mostly because of, well, I love her A Darker Shade of Magic trilogy, but this book just made me love her writing style and her writing even more. So I just really want to try out this book. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews on it. Some people are kind of disappointed by it in comparison to all the other books she wrote. Some people say it's just really fun and entertaining and raises a lot of questions about good, morality, evil, blah blah blah. So I really want to get into it, and I don't know, just sounds like another sort of fun, entertaining book to read before the year ends that I hope helps me tackle my TBR. And now comes the book that I'm sure it would take me a month to read considering how I've been doing regarding reading. But here we go. It's Winter's Promise by Christelle Deveau, and I am sorry, but as you know, I have no idea what this book is about because once I explained it, and every time I've been trying to explain it, I just don't know and I give up because I don't know, it just doesn't stick to my head what this book is about. I don't know why that happens. I'm just gonna read the blurb at the back. A mix of awkward, misfit, and misunderstood genius, Ophelia cares little about appearances or other people's opinions of her. She possesses two special gifts, a talent for reading the past of objects and the ability to travel through mirrors. Her peaceful existence on Anima is interrupted when she is promised in marriage to the Torn, a member of the powerful clan from a cold and distant Ark. Sounds like very interesting world building in here as well, which is something I'm just so into. So I would be very happy to at least start reading this book. I also really adore the cover. I think it's just so beautiful. And I think it's translated as well, and I've been really trying to incorporate more translated works into the books I read because I think diversity is always good. But these are the books that I really love to get this month. I think my priority, I don't know what my priority is, I just really want to get to these all. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what books you'd like to read before this year ends, or if you'd like to call it what books you'd like to read in December. I hope you're doing well and staying safe, and see you in my next video. Bye!